mentality, though, why they don't score runs for them. Yeah, that's what you hitters do, don't you?
But your defense tighten up a little bit. Say, hey, guys, we can't make any mistakes. We got to be anticipating everything's going to hit to me. I got to take charge. I don't want to make a mistake. If anything is going to happen, hit the ball to me.
All right. Now, the All-Star teams were announced yesterday, Jim, and you were always on the All-Star team. Do you like the way they're selecting the team now? The fans get to vote for the starters. The players and the manager are voting for the reserves. Do you think the players should have a vote like they do?
Well, you see, everything is changing and evolving. And I think they're trying to get more fans involved. They're trying to get the players involved because a lot of selection are not chosen by the fans, and some guys deserve to get to the All-Star game because it may be the only time they have a good year and have a chance to go into the All-Star game. So I think that is a good opportunity for the players to vote.
I'm going to go out on a limb, though. When you played, you always seemed so focused with your business of what you had to do. Did you really pay attention to what, like, say, the center fielder for the Minnesota Twins was doing?
No. I looked at my situation where if I was with the Red Sox or any other team, I want to be a leader on that team. Just like Nomar or Pedro or Manny. Most of the time, you know when you're a leader when they say Manny, Nomar, and Pedro, then the Boston Red Sox. So they tell you right there, these are the guys that you have to watch. These are your all-star guys. These are the guys that you'll focus on. So now, not getting off the subject, that you look at a guy like Jason Varitek, the numbers that he put up, he should be at the All-Star game.
Absolutely. I bet you wouldn't want to vote when you were playing. I bet you Jim Rice, back when he played, wouldn't want to vote. I don't know. Would you want to vote?
No.
I didn't think so. The Red Sox, we talked about Pedro not going to the All-Star game. Manny and Nomar are going. Jason Varitek, as you mentioned, he's not going to the All-Star game.
He's not.
Or at least yet. He has a chance. But Manny and Nomar, they are going.
Well, we hope so. We hope that Jason have an opportunity to go. So now they're saying that Jason Varitek, Nomar, Pedro, and Manny and the Red Sox are coming to Yankee Stadium. So you know that these guys should be at the All-Star game.
I agree with you. And the players voting, and they voted Ramon Hernandez of the Oakland Athletics instead of Jason Varitek. Now, we say Jason Varitek's not on the team. Yesterday, we got word that, yeah, he is going to be on the team. What I guess the word that was leaking out was that he still has a chance because he's one of 5 players that will be on the ballot for fans to vote until Wednesday at 6 o'clock at Major League Baseball. So Jason Varitek still has a chance, and clearly, Jim, as you look at these numbers, you just said it, he belongs on this All-Star team.
He belongs there. If I'm a manager, I'm looking at Varitek and looking at them other guys. Say, look, we're going to play 9 innings. I got 3 catches. You look at the numbers, the home runs, the batting average. This guy should be there, and I'm going to take Jason Varitek.
The numbers, I mean, they don't lie. I mean, 15 home runs, 50 runs batted in, 297, and his defensive numbers also right there as well. So again, it's MajorLeagueBaseball.com. Every Red Sox fan should go to that website and vote in Jason Varitek. Right now, we'll vote in Tom Caron. He's at the stadium standing by with Bob Holler to tell us a little bit about the Red Sox lineup. And with Mike Mussina going, we were expecting perhaps David Ortiz would not be in the lineup. Tommy, is he going to play today?
Yes, he is, Bob, which is interesting because, you know, yesterday, Grady Little told everyone that it would really go by the matchups, and the matchup between Mussina and Ortiz is not good at all. He has never gotten a hit against Mussina, but because he's hot, Grady puts him in the lineup today.
Yeah, I mean, he's 0 for 17 lifetime against him with 12 strikeouts, but like Grady said, the guy's swinging the bat as well as anybody he could put in the game, so why not try him? You know, Ortiz had 2 multi-home run games in a row here to start the series. No one's ever done that before Yankee Stadium. No visitors ever come in here and hit 2 home runs in 2 straight games, so that's hot. You know, in fact, no Yankees done it since 1961, and that was Roger Maris. So, you know, if you're going to take a shot on somebody who's had no hits against somebody, why not throw somebody like Ortiz in there at this point?
Main topic of conversation in the clubhouse before the game, obviously, who did make the All-Star team, who didn't make the All-Star team. To follow up on what Bob and Jim just said, the reaction in the clubhouse mainly supportive that Jason Varitek should have been on that team or should be the one off that 5-man ballot to make the team.
Absolutely. I mean, he's got a tough battle ahead of him because he's got Jason Giambi also on there. You know, last year Johnny Damon won the vote. He had sort of the advantage of having played in Kansas City in the heart of heartland, West Coast and Oakland and Boston as well. So he sort of had sort of the whole thing going for him. This year it's going to be a little tougher. Jason's here in New York and he's going to get a lot of support. But Jason Varitek's got a great attitude, and I just want to help this team. And he said, you know, there's guys 1 through 9 in this lineup who could be all-stars, and maybe we'll come back and show some people by the end of the season, maybe in the playoffs.
On the pitching front, Brandon Lyon, more struggles of late. Maybe a slight tinkering of when and where he'll be used, according to Grady Little.
Yeah, because things have changed. In the first 33 times out, he only allowed 2 home runs. In the last 5 times out, he's given up 4 home runs. That's troubling, especially in pressure situations. So I think Grady's going to try to, as best he can, put him in non-pressure situations for a while until he gets his stride back. He thinks maybe he's maybe trying a little too hard in some ways, squeezing the ball a little bit. So just give him a chance to go in there in non-pressure. high-pressure situations.
And as for pitching help, Casey Fossum threw an inning Saturday in Portland. Didn't go that well, but they were mainly happy to see him throw again. And still no decision, it seems, where he fits in when he does return to this team.
Yeah, they continue to surprise us. We just don't know. I mean, yeah, we thought all along he was going to come back as a reliever, but who knows? You know, things could happen towards the trade deadline. You know, who depends who they pick up. Like you said, he came through it feeling well, and that's the important thing.
All right, great pitching matchup here at the stadium today. We're getting ready for it right now. Let's go back to Boston.
All right, Tommy, thanks very much. That's Bob Holler of the Boston Globe. A little bit later, Gordon Eads will join us as well. We'll talk more about the All-Star game, who should go, who shouldn't go. But up next, it's the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's a great movie coming out. We know this guy's extraordinary. We'll have a profile on Pedro next. Well, coming up a week from tomorrow, some of the best players in the game will battle in the All-Star game at U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago. Of course, Manny Ramirez and Nomar will represent the Red Sox, maybe Jason Varitek as well. Coming up on July 11th, 20th Century Fox Motion Pictures will premiere the film The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Sean Connery. Now, in cooperation with the film's premiere, we'd like to present you with one player who we think is in the League of the Extraordinary, Pedro Martinez. It's today's Boston Globe Player Profile.
Extraordinary gentleman indeed.
Now, Pedro's clearly extraordinary. He should be in that movie, Jim. I mean, imagine him battling it out with Sean Connery. Sean Connery couldn't hit his fastball.
Sean, like me, Sean will wait on his slider. Something off speed.
We look at Pedro's numbers: 6-2, 2.53 ERA, second in the league in ERA, first in the American League in batting average against, and fourth in win percentage at .750. Of course, he's been hurt a little bit this year, but let me ask you this. What makes Pedro Martinez, what makes him so tough?
Command. Pedro believes, and I know he believes, that he can get any pitch over at any given time. A lot of times he sets you up with the fastball. He may throw you a changeup or vice versa. I recall the game when he went out in the bullpen in Cleveland, and everyone was watching Pedro go out, and we looked at the Cleveland Indians at the bullpen, and they knew they was defeated because everyone had their head down. Pedro came out mostly with his second and third best pitch, curveball, changeup, and that's all it took. He can go out there with his two other pitches and more than his fastball. In other words, he can go out with his second and third pitch. He doesn't have to depend on his fastball.
Yeah, that's the difference about Pedro Martinez to the next level of pitchers, just the tremendous command. Now, later this week, we'll find out if Jason Varitek is going to the All-Star game. And later this week as well, it will be the premiere of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen on Friday. Don't forget the 20th Century Fox premiere. It is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's coming to theaters near you on Friday. And up next, to a television near you, it's Gordon Eads of the Boston Globe. It's our notebook, and it's next on the Boston Globe pregame report. Well, now it's time for a Mike's Hard Lemonade discovery of the day. And on this date, back in 1948, the Cleveland Indians stunning the baseball world by signing Satchel Paige, a fabulous veteran Negro League pitcher. The move was ridiculed by some at the time as a Bill Veeck publicity stunt, but the 42-year-old Paige answered the critics by finishing the year at 6-1. Time now to talk more baseball. Bring in the baseball guru of the Boston Globe. It's Gordon Eads. And Gordon, before we talk about all the players that were snubbed and everything, I want to get your take, first of all, about the whole process of the way the team is being selected now. Thumbs up or thumbs down from you?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I was sitting here thinking about that very thing, Bob, and Jim, I don't know what your feeling is on it, but I'm not sure that players are any more qualified to pick an all-star team than the writers are or the fans are, because there's a lot of players that simply don't pay that much attention to what's going on except with their own club. And, you know, clearly when a Jason Varitek gets passed over for Oakland's Ramon Hernandez, that certainly raises some questions.
You don't like it, Jimmy?
I don't like it, but, you know, from a manager's point of view, is that he should look at all the guys as far as backup, your catchers, your first baseman, second baseman, and even they're not chosen from the fans. He said, look, these guys are having good years. These guys deserve to go to the All-Star game. These are my picks.
Yeah, Gordon, I don't know if you heard it a little bit earlier. Jimmy said that back when he played, he wouldn't want to have the vote. And I think looking at the way the players did vote, I don't think they wanted it either, because they voted for some guys, in my opinion, that shouldn't be going. I mean, it's supposed to be the fans' game. I'd rather have Gordon Eads, who follows this as a profession. It's what you get paid to do. They don't get paid to follow it, do they?
But of course, you know, it wasn't the writers' call before this either. I mean,
Correct.
it was the major league, actually the league offices and the managers that would fill out the dance card and pick the reserves and all, which I think would have been a better system. I mean, again, it's that age-old question: who do you want to see in an All-Star game? The guys who are having a good first half, or the, you know, year-in, year-out All-Stars? And I mean, for me, the fact that guys like Rafi Palmeiro and Sammy Sosa, both of who joined the 500 home run club, aren't going to be in this All-Star game. You know, Pedro Martinez, Roger Clemens, Messina, Maddox, Glavine. There's a lot of guys who aren't going to be in Chicago next week.
Hey, Gordon, I'm stunned that Jason Varitek wasn't selected by his peers, and I just wonder how that could happen. And not to take anything away from Ramon Hernandez, but if you look at what Hernandez has done and what Varitek has done, I think clearly Jason Varitek has had the better year, and I think that he deserves to go.
But again, I can't say that I'm stunned, Bob, because most of the players I talk to say they don't even read the papers. So,
right.
You know, do you think that there's that kind of awareness around the league, the kind of year that Jason Varitek's having? The guy that stuns me, fellas, and just from a marketing standpoint, is that Dontrell Willis, the young rookie from Florida who's having such a sensational year, is not going to be on the team, and neither is Rocco Baldelli, the kid from Rhode Island. I mean, this is a showcase of your young coming stars, too, and it seems to me a shame that neither of those guys are going to be on the team.
I agree with you, Gordon. We're going to lobby to have Gordon Eads and the writers vote next year. They're going to tinker with this again. I don't think the players liked it this way.
Well, Jim, I don't know if you want to give the writers a vote either. They haven't put you on the Hall of Fame ballot yet, or into the Hall of Fame yet.
Well, I was going to say something about it, but I think I'm going to keep it to myself. So I think I better keep my mouth shut. Because like you said, as far as getting the writers to vote for the All-Star game, I haven't seen too many writers play in a baseball game. I haven't seen too many writers that can do anything with the Hall of Fame, too. Because who give the rights to give the writers to vote for the Hall of Fame? They never played the game.
Gordon, the writers are going to get this right with the guy sitting next to me pretty soon, though. I have a feeling.
Well, one of these years, I don't know if Jim's as optimistic as you are, Bob, but one of these years, I think that will be rectified.
Good. You get a vote, don't you, pretty soon?
Oh, I'm voting. I've voted the last several years, and Mr. Rice has been on my ballot.
All right, very good.
We'll go out for coffee the next time.
There you go.
Glad to hear. All right, Gordon, thanks very much. That's Gordon Eads of the Boston Globe. Now, we want to ask you this poll question. I think clearly we know the results already, but just because we want to ask it, we know we're going to get overwhelming results for Jason Varitek. But will you vote? Who will you vote for as the 32nd man on the AL All-Star team? Log on to boston.com/sports. We'll have the results during one of those squeeze packs. But remember, you have to go to MLB.com to get an official vote for Jason Varitek. Up next, it's our triple play with the Rem Dog, Jerry Remy. What the selection process is. We'll be talking about, oh, this guy should go, that guy shouldn't go. But I want to ask you, we've been discussing the whole process this year. Do you like it?
Well, you know, I had a chance to quickly look over the list this morning. There's not too many complaints I had with the guys that were picked because I think for the majority of them, I think they are having all-star type seasons. I got a couple of problems, and the first problem I have is because of the debacle last year in the All-Star game, all of a sudden we have this campaign and this game counts and it means something. And to me, it's still an exhibition game. Now, I think it's absolutely foolish to think that whoever wins that game should have home field advantage in an All-Star game. You know, what does a guy that's 30 games out of first place who's going to be in that game care about who's got home field advantage? I fall on the side of whoever has the best record in baseball at the end. Maybe that should be the home field advantage. The other problem I have is, why does every team have to be represented on the All-Star team? Look, if you have a game, let's say it's in Tampa Bay. Well, okay, maybe put a Tampa Bay player on there. Rocco Baldelli certainly could be deserving of that. But if you're not playing in a place like that, why does everybody have to be represented? If you're looking for the top players in the league to go to an All-Star game, I don't understand why you have to pick one from every ball club.
Jerry, when you were playing, would you want to vote for a player for the All-Star team? As Jim mentioned, he's more concerned with winning ball games, not really paying attention to what's going around baseball. When you were playing, would you want to have that vote?
No, I wouldn't want to have it. No, I like to leave that to some other people who study the game closer probably than I would do. You know, I would be focused on what my guys are doing. We're always leaning toward the people that we play with day in and day out. We feel that they should be on the club. You know, we're aware, obviously, of what other guys are doing, but you don't see them play day in and day out like most people do. So, no, I wouldn't want to have that vote either. Look, it's an imperfect system. It always has been imperfect, and I don't know what's going to make it right. But, again, you know, as I said, quickly looking over the American League list, the only problem I really have with it is there are some people who have to be there that shouldn't be there. And, of course, Jason Varitek's the biggest problem I have.
Absolutely. Let's get back to the ball game today, guys, because Pedro Martinez on the hill. I'm always interested, Jerry, how different teams approach Pedro. Some that have tried to be patient to get him out of the ball game. Others that think, okay, let's not get behind in the count against him. What do you think the Yankees will try to do today against Pedro?
It'll be no different than what they've always done. Their approach every single time they face Pedro is to get him out of the game as quickly as possible. They try to work counts. They try to make him throw as many pitches as he possibly has to. You got some tremendous heat here this afternoon. He might tire early. So I would expect that their approach would be the exact same that it's always been against Pedro. And they make no bones about it. I mean, you know, after a game, they say that's what we try to do to him.
If he's throwing strikes and he's getting the corners, regardless, Pedro may not have to throw as many pitches. And then if we get ahead, they may have to swing at pitches they don't really want to swing at if he's close around the plate.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, but the fact is they're going to take, they've always done it, and they make no secret about it. I mean, they announce it before the game even starts what they're going to try to do to him.
All right, Jerry, thanks a lot.
Okay.
That's the Rem Dog, Jerry Remy, alongside Don Orsillo this afternoon here on NESN. Tomorrow in the Boston Globe, a complete recap from the stadium and coverage of the playoff at the Women's U.S. Open Golf Championship. It's in the Boston Globe tomorrow. Sullivan Tire brings us the keys to the game, the pitching matchup. Jimmy, we've talked a lot about it. Pedro against Mike Mussina.
Mussina, to me, is a breaking ball pitcher. Pedro have about 4 or 5 pitches that he can throw. He can get everything over, and it doesn't matter if you waiting on a fastball. Pedro can throw his curveball, throw his changeup. Mussina, to me, he has a split, never throws a split for a strike, fastball, curveball. I think we have a better chance right here.
Pedro is not going to the All-Star game. He missed the All-Star game back in 2001, of course, with the injury. That's the first time that he had missed it since 1996, but he will not be going this year. So his All-Star game this afternoon at the stadium as the Red Sox try to make it 3 out of 4. Jim and I will be back after the ball game on WB Mason's Extra Innings. So right now, stand by for Boston Red Sox baseball. The Sox and Yankees next. Enjoy the game.
NESN is brought